Now we're going to hop aboard the American Banjo Museum Banjo bus and head on down to Nashville, where Doug Parsons has a really special presentation to make.
Since 1998, the American Banjo Museum Hall of Fame has honored over 100 individuals and organizations that have molded the fabric of the banjo history. These have been early pioneers of jazz, bluegrass, and old-time contemporary artists, educators, manufacturers, and promoters who have built on the momentum of their predecessors. Tonight, we honor one of those founders, innovators, and an iconic banjo figure that with his unique style of banjo playing and innovative style founded a whole new generation of players that would try to learn, mimic, and grow his style. You cannot think of the founding fathers of the five-string banjo and not have this individual be part of that discussion. From his work with the Tennessee Cut-Ups to Reno and Smiley, and his time playing on this iconic stage at the Ryman Auditorium. His countless other collaborations with other artists are too numerous to mention. His name has lived on through the years as a monumental influence in the banjo world.
Never in the history of the five-string banjo and bluegrass music has there been a more innovative musician than banjoist Don Reno. Burning with creativity and never satisfied with the status quo, Reno invented a new style of banjo playing which literally redefined the instrument's role and set new musical standards for generations of banjoists yet to come. During a distinguished career as a multi-instrumentalist, vocalist, composer, and showman, Don Reno, simply put, changed the course of bluegrass and country music history. Born in Buffalo, South Carolina, Don Reno grew up at a farm in nearby Haywood County, North Carolina. Curiously picking up the banjo at the age of 5, the youngster found he could play Brown's Ferry Blues. After being influenced by banjo pioneer Snuffy Jenkins and practicing several years on a homemade banjo, the gift of a store-bought guitar set Reno's musical future in motion. Possessing instinctive, albeit eclectic musical taste, Reno injected elements of jazz and blues into both his banjo and guitar playing, and while still in his teens, was appearing on local radio as a member of the Morris Brothers. In 1940, Don joined Arthur Guitar Boogie Smith, with whom he'd later write and record Feudin' Banjos, the original dueling banjos. 2 years later, after receiving an offer from Bill Monroe to become part of the now legendary Bluegrass Boys, Reno chose instead to enlist in the Army, serving in the Pacific Theater, where he was wounded in action as part of Merrill's Marauders. After the war, Reno returned to South Carolina, where the ambitious musician operated a grocery store by day while playing jazz and country music at night. Although they were good friends, Reno was becoming weary of the comparison between himself and Earl Scruggs and was driven to create a new style and sound for the five-string banjo that was all his own. Incorporating unheard of techniques such as double stops, double time picking, and triple pull-offs, Reno developed an exciting single-string style approach to the instrument, which allowed him to play scales and complicated fiddle tunes note for note, and a new way to play the five-string banjo was born. After hearing that Earl Scruggs had left the Bluegrass Boys in 1948, Reno tracked Monroe down in Taylorville, North Carolina, and without invitation, joined the band on stage in the middle of their performance. He remained with the Bluegrass Boys until the following year, when a recurrence of his service-related malaria forced him to return again to South Carolina. It was a fortuitous chain of events that brought Don Reno together with his longtime partner, guitarist and vocalist Red Smiley. Kindred musical spirits, in 1949, Reno and Smiley teamed up as the Tennessee Cut-Ups, despite the fact that neither was from Tennessee. After recording 16 milestone tracks for King Records in 1952, the duo disbanded briefly, only to regroup and become the most popular country group in the Southeast and Mid-Atlantic regions for the next decade.
There'll be no detours in hell, no rough roads along the way.
After Smiley's retirement in 1965, Reno briefly teamed with fiddler Benny Martin before enlisting guitarist Bill Harrell to start a new chapter in the Tennessee Cut-Ups history, which ultimately included Reno's sons Ronnie, Dale, and Don Wayne. During a life and career that was cut short by complications from diabetes in 1984, Don Reno constantly pushed his own musical envelope while cross-pollinating entire musical genres. He wrote over 500 songs, introduced a banjo anthem, and reinvented the way the world plays and listens to the five-string banjo. Although his regional fame resulted in an underappreciation of his contributions to both country and bluegrass music during his lifetime, as each new generation discovers his music, the genius which was Don Reno lives on.
When you're many miles away, dear, just a phone call will do.
Hello, this is Jason Skinner, and I'm very honored to be asked to say a few things about Don Reno and what he's meant to me over the years. To say I'm a Don Reno fan is kind of an understatement. He's been my biggest musical influence through most of my life now. I started playing the banjo when I was 12, and about a year into it, I heard him play I Know You're Married on one of my dad's old records. And ever since then, nothing's been the same. I've been kind of obsessed with the style and learning as much about Don as possible. And even after all these years, I can listen to a record and hear something new. Don was such a musical genius. And unfortunately, I never got to meet Don, but I kind of feel like I've known him all my life. He's always been there for me. Whenever I was down, I could put on a Don Reno record and it would bring a smile to my face. And I would just like to thank Don for all the joy his music has brought to me over the years. I've had so many good times picking with people and actually becoming friends with people from all over the world through teaching his style. And so thank you, Don, for making my life better and being such an inspiration to banjo players all over the world and guitar players all over the world. I've been asked to play a little something in honor of Don, and I thought I'd put together something that kind of has a little bit of everything in it. So I even play a little Reno-style guitar in this one. So I hope you enjoy it, and this one's for you, Don.
As president of the Board of Directors, in behalf of the American Banjo Museum, present and past members of the Hall of Fames, we would like to welcome a player that truly revolutionized the banjo world. And in this spirit, it is my privilege to welcome into the 2020 class of the Hall of Fame, Mr. Don Reno. I'm presenting this award tonight to his son, Don Wayne Reno. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Wow. So excited for my dad tonight. I want to thank all the folks at the American Banjo Museum, Johnny Bear, which I've been working with. I accept this on behalf of all the Reno family. My mother, brothers, and sisters are all very proud of this achievement, and I would like to accept it as humbly as I think my dad would. Dad was super patient when it came to teaching his unique style of banjo to others. I actually got my start watching him do that very thing. Dad wanted everybody to be in on the fun, and his character made people want to pick up their instruments and join in. That's how it was in our home growing up. Anyone that knows me knows that I love to talk about my dad, and I could stand up here all day and talk about him. But I really just want to thank my dad for all the beautiful music that he left us with. It keeps us close to him, even though he's gone on to the next life. Also, want to thank all of Dad's fans who supported him all the years, supported us and our family when he was sick and in the hospital. They're some of the best people that I've ever met in my life, and I'm proud to have got to know them. And again, just thank you so much for this. And we'll get my other brother over here to come up and say a few words. But again, thank you so much for this. We are so honored.
I'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you to the American Banjo Museum for this. You know, I'd like to say a few words about Dad, not so much in a musical text, but things he used to do. I used to notice him do around the house and things when we were little. He was the kind of guy that would take a hobo in off the street, feed him. He only had 2 times that he did not ever want to be disturbed, because he loved friends coming over and company, but he didn't want to be disturbed when he's either writing songs for an album or when he's watching General Hospital. He didn't want to be messed with at General Hospital time. But anyway, he was a great guy, great dad. He's a great teacher. He taught all of those boys, because he could play any instrument, you know, any one instrument he wanted to pick up. He played a piano, harp, any stringed instrument. And he taught us all, and we really appreciate him. He taught a lot of people. He taught a lot of people on how it is to be a good guy also, other than just his music ability. So I'd like to say thank you. Thank you once again for this. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Don Wayne Reno and Dale Reno, for accepting on behalf of your father beautifully spoken words about a man who was beloved in the banjo world.